Christmas is coming, the goose is getting fat, but not as fat as Spotify's profits after just sacking 1,500 people. Ouch. Where do we start with this? Well, Spotify have not only sacked 1,500 people, but technically they've sacked nearly a quarter of their entire workforce this year. They sacked 600 people in January, they also sacked another 200 people in June, and now today looks like they're sacking another 1,500 people. Now, anyone subscribed to this channel, if you're not, you should press that button right now, will know that recently I put out a video about Spotify's plan to reduce royalties. That's right, for up to half of the entire library on Spotify. Now, I also explained in that very video that Spotify also announced their Q3 profits of 34 million, which sounds okay, but when you think about the business making $3.6 billion, that is less than 1% of all of the income. But there is a big problem on Spotify's horizon, and that is in 2020 and 2021, Spotify invested very heavily in the podcasting game. In fact, they spent $1 billion in 2021 trying to attract the biggest names and biggest podcasts in the entire world, including Joe Rogan. You might remember I made a video which said, Joe Rogan just broke Spotify. And I had this face. And in reality, I wasn't really that shocked because they paid him $100 million. And let's face it, we probably would have done the same thing. But as well as Joe Rogan, they also brought in several other massive podcasters. Called Her Daddy, they paid $60 million. Harry and Meghan, $20 million. The Kardashians, another $100 million. Along with many, many other podcasts to make up that $1 billion. Now, it was reported in 2021 that those podcasts only actually brought in around about $150 to $200 million extra. So that's a big loss leader. But Daniel Ek stood firm and he said, no, this is the way forward. Well, the problem here is most of these podcasters signed a 3-year deal. And guess what? Time's up, baby. It's 3 years later. And guess what? Inflation is here and they want their money. So Spotify is having to renegotiate deals and cut some of the podcasts, but there are plenty of willing platforms that are prepared to pick up a Joe Rogan, a Call Her Daddy, the Obamas, the Kardashians, Harry and Meghan, maybe not Harry and Meghan, okay, not them, but the rest of them probably will get picked up. Now, I know what you're thinking. Everyone is saying Spotify should pay the artists more money, but you can see that they can't because it is reported that Spotify spend 82% of their entire income, their entire revenue on just the music alone. So out of 3.6 billion, it is reported that 3 billion just goes towards the music, which is pretty hardcore considering they've just axed all of the royalties for 50% of the entire library. But when it comes to the big players, when it comes to the record labels, they are taking the lion's share. Then the remaining 18% of income has to go towards all of their running costs. They have 10,000 members of staff. They have the biggest 5 podcasters in the entire world. They've even got a football stadium, which is Barcelona Nou Camp, named after Spotify. And a partridge in a... Now, off the back of this announcement, Daniel Ek has said, and I quote, "There are too many people dedicated to supporting work rather than contributing to opportunities with real impact." Basically, Danny Boy turned up at Spotify and went, "There's bloody 10,000 of you fuckers. What are you all doing?" And he also said this, now brace yourself because this one is a little bit more painful. He said more people need to be focused on delivering for our key stakeholders, creators and consumers. Well, Daniel, considering you just pulled the royalties from 50% of all of the songs on your platform, I'd say you're probably doing a pretty shit job of that bit so far. But on the announcement that he's just sacked 1,500 people, Spotify shares have just rocketed 7%. So I think we know what stakeholders he's talking about. Now, what's even more crazy is this year Spotify raised its monthly subscription fee for many countries around the world for the first time in many years. Now, that's problematic because that's a lot more money coming in and they're still not seeing a profit. But then you've got this cost of living crisis, and let's face it, that Joe Rogan elk meat is not going to buy itself and it's getting pretty expensive with the cost of inflation. So are we about to see this house of cards come tumbling down? Or maybe we will see Spotify start to buy up other DSPs like Pandora whilst they try and kick the can down the road. Either way, there are many questions that need answering. Will we see Joe Rogan back on YouTube? Will we see Daniel Ek sell Spotify to maybe, I don't know, Elon Musk, see if he can fuck it right up? Or will we see Prince Harry actually get a real job, maybe with a new crown at the BK Lounge? I don't know. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Catch you soon.